another type of average that we're going to go over here is what we call the median. The median is essentially the middle number of our data set. However, in order for this number in the middle to have any importance, we need to have our numbers be arranged in numerical order. So essentially, we need to rewrite our data set to be from smallest to largest or largest to smallest, depending on what you're working with. You might choose one or the other. I usually will rewrite numbers smallest to largest because that's how my brain usually works to understand and comprehend what I'm dealing with. This is what we call a ranked list for the formal term of having the numbers ordered from smallest to largest or largest to smallest. So now our median of a ranked list of n numbers is one of two things depending on if we have an even or an odd amount of numbers. If we have an odd amount of numbers, then the median is just the middle number because there is a direct number in the middle. So for an example, if I have 5 numbers, right, writing up here at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I can cross 1 off from both sides, cross 2 off from both sides, and I have a number that's directly in the middle. I have crossed off the same amount on both sides, and I have that middle number. However, if we have an even amount of numbers, we don't have a number directly in the middle. There's actually 2 numbers in the middle, and we need to take the mean of that, essentially finding the halfway point of those 2 numbers. So example, if now instead I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 as my data set, I can cross off 2 from both sides, but now I'm left with 2 numbers in the middle. We have 3 and 4. So we would have to add those 2 numbers together to get 7 and then divide by 2, which gives us 3.5, the halfway point between 3 and 4. Okay, so now let's find the median of Angela's basketball scores that we had in our last video with the mean. So our first thing to do with these basketball scores is to reorder them because we need the ranked list to find our median. So we have 13 as the lowest one, and then 14, and then it looks like we have 3 copies of 17, so we need to write that down 3 times. And then we have 18, 19, and lastly 24. And I have crossed off all of the original numbers in the data set, so hopefully that means we didn't miss any. Another thing that you can do to try and make sure that you got all of the numbers written down properly is to count up the amount of numbers in your ranked list, and it should match the original amount of numbers that you had at the beginning. It's very easy to forget a number, especially on some of the WebAssign homeworks when writing the ranked list. So be very careful, double check your work before you get too far into a problem. Okay, so now to find the median, my preferred method is to usually just cross 1 off from both sides until I am left with 1 number in the middle or 2 numbers in the middle if I have an even amount of numbers. So we have 8 numbers here, so I'm going to be left with 2 numbers in the middle. So if I cross 1 off from both sides, got rid of 13 and 24, and then we can cross off 14 and 19, and then 17 and 18. So now I am left with my 2 numbers in the middle. In this case, it's 17 and 17, which means my median means I am going to need to add those 2 together, 17 plus 17, and then divide by 2. In this case, it's a little silly to do this because they're both the same number, So our halfway point between this is just 17. So our median for our ranked list here of the basketball scores is 17.